All right, you lovely Hammers fans, it's Nick from Claret and Booze. Hope you're all well. As always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget, drop a like on this video, please, because that does really help us. Loads to be talking about today. We've seen all the usual transfer links, not going to go into them. You know, we're linked with all sorts now. Harvey Elliott, that one sort of made me laugh. Don't get me wrong, be over the moon, but no chance. Go on to talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, I'm in a bubble bursting mood today after a phone call that I've had. Now I know I've steered away from the ITK stuff this weekend, but I've had to get some sort of clarification from someone that has got a bit more of an understanding than me as to what is going on because of the messaging that's coming out from the club, the mood of the fan base, mixed messaging. You know, when you look at what Brady said versus what Sullivan says via his mouthpieces, if you like. It's just really confusing, you know. Plus, we've got visibility of the accounts because of PSR, and it's just like, what is going on? But I'm going to get there in a minute. Before I do, if you are not aware, Gio over on Hammers Chat is running a raffle, and in that raffle, there's 4 prizes. You've got there's a signed Jared Bowen shirt, and there's a match worn Kevin Nolan shirt as well. Fantastic. I bought a couple of tickets for this one. So I'm putting a link to it in the description. The other 2 prizes are a couple of captain's armbands as well, signed. But this is for a really, really good cause as well. So I know it's not something that Gio has spoken about, and he's probably not going to speak about. But the reason that I'm pushing it out on here is because, yeah, this really is something that it would be good if a few people jumped on just to help that man out a little bit, because and the prizes are brilliant. They're fantastic. They are. Like I said, try and beat me to the Kevin Nolan shirt. I want that hanging over me shoulder. But yeah, so it's not my place to talk about why, but take my word for it. The man's been through an awful lot. He's going through an awful lot, and you know, he doesn't want to ask for money. He wants to give something back. So that's why he's put this little package together. So we're hoping that it does build up some traction. So have a look in the description of this video and you will see the link to that raffle. Right, now, on to other business. So like I said, I spoke to someone, didn't I? And I just said, look, what's going on? Because I gave him what my thoughts are. You know, you've heard me parroting it throughout the last few weeks in terms of our financial situation and just a general situation at West Ham. And it's worse than I thought it was, because the latest news that's come out from Sullivan is, or, you know, statement that's come out is that if we don't sell, there's sell-by dates on Aguirre, Alvarez and Kudus. And if we don't sell them by a certain point, Sullivan's going to start throwing his own money into the club to fund the window, because he fears that if we don't sell 3 of our best players, we could get relegated. Make that make sense? So yeah, that's what he's saying. Now there's a game at play here. First of all, that's never going to happen. They're not going to do that. What he's doing is he's changing tact. He's tried pleading poverty. He's read the room completely wrong. But the pleading poverty line isn't for the other clubs. It is for us fans. They're up shit creek without a paddle. Now, they've got themselves there. So I don't know whether they want some sort of sympathy or just patience from the fans. I don't know. But this is all on them. It doesn't matter whether Sullivan wants to blame other people, you know, directors of football that have been and gone for bad deals, even though he's conducted more bad deals than anyone else. Ultimately, we're in this position now because of him. It's under his stewardship of this club, which has been piss poor. And all the other clubs know this situation. So now, with the visibility of PSR, players, directors of football, other clubs, they all know the situation that West Ham are in. For instance, Brighton, they're one of the only clubs in the Premier League at the moment, so I'm told, that can probably demand as much as they want for one of their players, because they are in such a secure, strong position, mainly because of the way that they've run their club over the past 5-10 years, where they're not in negative equity on their players. They buy players in a little bit cheaper and they sell them high, and they've done that for years, and they're in an amazing position. They're strong. Everyone knows we're desperate for money. Everyone does. And nobody feels sorry for Sullivan because of the way that he acts, and that he's still acting, even now. So, of course, Sullivan saw Kudus as the answer to all of our woes. We'll just do what we did with Declan Rice and we sell Kudus for about 85 million and we'll wipe it all off. Because this is the real fear. The fear is next summer. So at the moment, as we all saw, was the article from The Athletic, which said that we had £95 million worth of breathing space in PSR before we get close to sort of breaching anything. Well, the accounts are done over 3 years. Next year, that £100 million rice sale falls off of our balance sheet. So if nothing happened between now and then, we would be £5 million in the red. So we're in the shit. And that is what Sullivan thought. He thought cash cow, go out, sell some players. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Now, I'm sure we will sell players, but nowhere near for what David Sullivan thought that we was going to be selling them. Chelsea are the only club to have bid for Mohamed Kudus so far. Tottenham haven't. Arsenal haven't. Newcastle haven't. Liverpool haven't. Mohamed Kudus also has changed agents now because both the agent and the club were trying to push him towards a move to Saudi for big money. He's not interested. He wants to stay in London. And Kudus has called the bluff of the club, I think. That's what's happened. He's gone, well, look, if you don't sell me to a club where I want to go, I'll stay where I am. I'm happy in London. That's what he said. So, yeah, it's put Sullivan in a very awkward position because we've only got, like I said, Chelsea that have actually placed a bid for him, and there's hardly any money involved. You're looking at 2 players, wait for it, plus about 5 million. So Dewsbury Hall and one other, plus about 5 million, because Chelsea only value the player at between 35 and 40 million. Now, the power is all in Chelsea's hands here, and Kudus' hands, because of the way that we've run our club. And it's the same with every player. Aguerd, we've only had a €15 million bid for Nayef Aguerd. That's all we've had. Nowhere near what we want or what we need. Alvarez, very similar. Plenty of clubs interested, but nobody willing to go anywhere near the price that Sullivan wants. Added to that, we've got to pay that Vlasic money back. We've got to. Or we're going to end up in breach of our contracts and we'll end up with a transfer ban, which could stretch up to 3 years. So we've got all of this going on. There's no cash flow. They're not going to pump any money in. They're not going to. Nobody on that board is, regardless what they say. And they're now putting out messaging to basically try and, I don't know, swing the other way and say, oh, well, we don't care. We'll keep you then. We'll keep them and we'll just buy more players. Everyone knows that's not going to be the case. And we're probably going to end up having to sell our players for way less than what we thought that we was going to be selling them for. How does that help Carl McCauley? How does it? He's, a guy that's inexperienced in doing the role that he's been given to do at West Ham, as is Potter. Potter's a head coach. Carl McCauley is an analyst. He's now a director of football. And he's got to go out and rebuild what is currently a very good, talented group of players who are going to be sold for way less than they're worth. Out of the money that we make from those players, he's going to be given a portion of that money, around 75%, and he's going to be tasked with going out there and building a team that's going to save us from relegation. So none of this makes any sense whatsoever. And the upshot is that Sullivan is panicking, from what I'm told. He's petrified of next season. It's really, really coming home to roost. All of the mismanagement from the last 5 years, 10 years, particularly, is coming back to bite us in the arse now. Because we've got basically a load of players that are the equivalent of owning a load of homes on negative equity. Look at Kilman. We've got a £40 million mortgage on what? A £20 million player? Negative equity. If we was to sell him for 20 million, that's 20 million off your PSR. You can't do it. You can't run your club the way David Sullivan has been running West Ham. And it's finally caught up to us. Now, that's not to say that they can't pump money in. We know this. We know that they can. We know that there's space legally within PSR rules for them to pump in and inject a load of cash into the club. But they're not going to. They're not, because of the way that they run the club, they would have to be mad to pump their own money in because it's a fucking waste. Like I've said, look at the business that we did last year. We've lost value on everyone, even to Debo. We'd never get back the money that we spent on him. Everyone's gone down in value. So for me, it kind of pushes back to what I was talking about last week. There is only one option now in this situation, and that is to stick. And that is to do what I was talking about last week. We've got an incredibly talented group of players there that are probably only fit to play a certain style of football that isn't suited to this manager, which is an attacking brand of football. Balls out, attacking brand of football. Now, I'm not saying that Potter can't play that style, but what he would have to do to get the very best out of this group of players is to stop breaking that up with Souček, James Ward-Prowse, and basically watering down the talent to the point where you've got such a disparity of talent on the field. No one really connects with each other, and you just end up with a mishmash. If you played a team like that in an attacking way, we'd be fine. The fans would be excited. Probably the value of each of these players would go up exponentially next season because we'd have a better season. They'd be scoring more goals, getting more assists. And I think that really is the only viable path for West Ham at this stage. The other thing that I was told is that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to convince players to come to West Ham. Just 12 months ago, that wasn't the case. But in 12 months, it's become an incredibly hard sell because of the chaos at West Ham and because this is our second year out of Europe or whatever it is. And we've got our key players that we're rumoured to be selling. We've got a board displayed in poverty. It's become very, very difficult to sell this club to players. Therefore, we probably are in a situation where this sports psychologist is probably going to be needed because he's going to have to do some work on some of these players that want out the door. And we're going to have to try and work with what we've got, which most people would be grateful for. Most managers in the Premier League would love to have some of the players that we've got. We're not in a bad situation. To rip this all up and start again, it's fine if you've got loads of money. If you can just afford to piss money down the toilet, lose loads of money on players and just start again, fine. We're not in that situation. We're just not. So we need to start managing this squad properly for a start. Sullivan's got to stop coming out with stupid statements. X reported earlier on that Sullivan has dismissed the Juventus move of Nayef Aguirre, saying, sadly, it's not true. Sadly, it's not true. We're not selling one of our players. I mean, come on. What sort of way of communicating is that? What sort of way is it of going, if we don't sell Kudus, Alvarez and Aguirre, we're probably going to get relegated? They've got a sell-by date. What way of communicating is that? The way that we spoke about Jadon Sancho, he's not even our player. I don't know what that bloke is doing apart from losing his fucking mind. Someone needs to shut him up and take over. He needs to delegate it to someone else and not Brady. So yeah, Potter and McCauley have got an impossible job this year if we sell the players. Because rebuilding it's going to be a nightmare. But if we went the other route, Potter's got a different problem. Then he's got to start winning favour with a lot of players that he may have fallen out with, and he's got to come to terms with the fact with his own ego that he ain't going to get what he wanted. He's not going to get to sell these players and rebuild it. He's going to have to work with what he's got and try and get the best out of a very talented group of players. It's a test, Graham. And maybe play a different style. Like all managers should be able to do. And then the following year, maybe, once we've made a lot of money back on these players, might even get top 6, who knows, could get Europe. It could kind of wipe all of this away. Maybe we could go again. But as it stands at the moment, they've got to bin this idea of the rebuild. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens, because I just feel like if they genuinely do fear, as David Sullivan has said on KUMB, that if we don't sell Kudus, Alvarez and Aguirre, I think we're going to get relegated, then what are you doing? Selling 3 of our best players isn't going to help you avoid getting relegated, is it? Especially when you're selling them at way under their market value and not even putting all of the money that you get for them back into the very inexperienced director of football to be able to go out and recruit new players. Just what is going on? But yeah, like I said, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Well, it's not bad news. You can take it as you want to take it, but it's shit, and it just gets worse every week for me. So yes, that is a situation. I've got a very, very big show coming up, which was supposed to happen last week. So I'm recording that this evening, and I'll be releasing that tomorrow. So yeah, there's your daily ramble anyway. Like I said, I'm not going to dress anything up for you. I'm going to try and get to the bottom of what's going on. What's the point in puffing this out? What is the point in trying to make this something that it isn't? I know it's depressing. It is. But burying your head in the sand ain't helping no one. And that's exactly what the board are doing at the moment. Sullivan's burying his head in the sand. All of these people that are around him, these so-called friends that have been robbing off of him over the fucking years, he's still doing the same thing. He's got this little close-knit group of people that have been fleecing him, and we're still in that situation. You know, he could change direction himself. He could if he wanted to, but he won't. But anyway, look, that is it from me. All right? That's enough misery for the day. I'll speak to you all soon. Come on, you irons.